want to do a video that I've been thinking about doing all month for Pride Month. And in this video, I'm going to read some milestones that have happened in the United States history regarding the LGBTQ community. So I'm going to try and avoid the sort of really negative ones and try and keep this video on a really positive slant about positive changes made over the last 100 years. Okay, let's get started. So as I say, this is for the United States of America, and the timeline starts off in 1924, when the Society for Human Rights, founded by Henry Gerber, is founded in Chicago. It is the first documented gay rights organization. In 1950, the Mattachine Society is formed by activist Harry Hay and is one of the first sustained gay rights groups in the United States. The society focuses on social acceptance and other support for homosexuals. In September 1955, the first known lesbian rights organization in the United States forms in San Francisco, called the Daughters of Bilitis, DOB. They host private social functions, fearing police raids, threats of violence and discrimination in bars and clubs. In July 1961, Illinois becomes the first state to decriminalize homosexuality by repealing their sodomy laws. September 11th, 1961. The first US televised documentary about homosexuality airs on a local station in California. June 28th, 1969. Police raid the Stonewall Inn in New York City. Protests and demonstrations begin, and it later becomes known as the impetus for the gay civil rights movement in the United States. 1969. The Los Angeles Advocate, founded in 1967, is renamed The Advocate. It is considered the oldest continuing LGBT publication that began as a newsletter published by the activist group Personal Rights in Defense and Education, which stands for Pride. June 28th, 1970. Community members in New York City march through the local streets to recognize the 1-year anniversary of the Stonewall riots. This event is named Christopher Street Liberation Day and is now considered the first gay pride parade. 1973. Lambda Legal, spelt Lambda, becomes the first legal organisation established to fight for the equal rights of gays and lesbians. Lambda also becomes their own first client after being denied non-profit status. The New York Supreme Court eventually rules that Lambda Legal can exist as non-profit. March 26th, 1973. The first meeting of Parents and Friends of Gays, which goes national as Parents, Families and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, acronym PFLAG, in 1982. December 15th, 1973. The American Psychiatric Association removes homosexuality from its list of mental disorders in the DSM-2 Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. 1974. Kathy Kozachenko becomes the first openly LGBT American elected to any public office when she wins a seat on the Ann Arbor, Michigan City Council. 1974. Elaine Noble is the first openly gay candidate elected to a state office when she is elected to the Massachusetts State Legislature. 1975. Technical Sergeant Leonard P. Matlovich reveals his sexual orientation to his commanding officer and is forcibly discharged from the Air Force 6 months later. Matlovich is a Vietnam War veteran and was awarded both the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star. In 1980, the Court of Appeals rules that the dismissal was improper. Matlovich is awarded his back pay and a retroactive promotion. (1976). After undergoing gender reassignment surgery in 1975, ophthalmologist and professional tennis player Renee Richards is banned from competing in the Women's US Open because of a woman-born woman rule. Richards challenges the decision, and in 1977, the New York Supreme Court rules in her favour. Richards competes in the 1977 US Open, but is defeated in the first round by Virginia Wade. Between 1977 and 1981, Billy Crystal plays one of the first openly gay characters in a recurring role on a prime-time television show in Soap. January 9th, 1978. Harvey Milk is inaugurated as San Francisco City Supervisor and is the first openly gay man to be elected to a political office in California. In 1978, inspired by Milk to develop a symbol of pride and hope for the LGBT community, Gilbert Baker designs and stitches together the first rainbow flag. October 14th, 1979. The first National March on Washington for lesbian and gay rights takes place. It draws an estimated 75,000 to 125,000 individuals In November 1995, the Hate Crimes Sentencing Enhancement Act goes into effect as part of the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994. The law allows a judge to impose harsher sentences if there is evidence showing that a victim was selected because of the actual or perceived race, colour, religion, national origin, ethnicity, gender, disability, or sexual orientation of any person. In December of 1996, Hawaii's Judge Chang rules that the state does not have a legal right to deprive same-sex couples of the right to marry, making Hawaii the first state to recognize that gay and lesbian couples are entitled to the same privileges as heterosexual married couples. In April of 1997, comedian Ellen DeGeneres comes out as a lesbian on the cover of Time magazine, stating, "Yep, I'm gay." In April of 97, DeGeneres' character, Ellen Morgan, on her self-titled TV series, Ellen, becomes the first leading character to come out on a prime-time network television show. On April 1st of 1998, Martin Luther King Jr.'s widow, Coretta Scott King, asks the civil rights community to help in the effort to extinguish homophobia. April 26th, 2000. Vermont becomes the first state to legalize civil unions between same-sex couples. In June of 2003, the US Supreme Court strikes down the homosexual conduct law, which decriminalizes same-sex sexual conduct, with their opinion in Lawrence v. Texas. The decision also reverses Bowers v. Hardwick, a 1986 US Supreme Court ruling that upheld Georgia's sodomy law. May 17th, 2004. The first legal same-sex marriage in the United States takes place in Massachusetts. In October 25th, 2006, the New Jersey Supreme Court rules that state lawmakers must provide the rights and benefits of marriage to gay and lesbian couples. In May 15th of 2008, the California Supreme Court rules that remarriage cases that limiting marriage to opposite-sex couples is unconstitutional. On August 12th of 2009, Milk is posthumously awarded the Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama. On September 20th of 2011, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell law is repealed, ending a ban on gay men and lesbians from serving openly in the US military. May 9th, 2012. In an ABC interview, Barack Obama becomes the first sitting US president to publicly support the freedom of LGBT couples to marry. September 4th, 2012, the Democratic Party becomes the first major US political party in history to publicly support same-sex marriage on a national platform at the Democratic National Convention. November 6th, 2012, Tammy Baldwin becomes the first openly gay politician and the first Wisconsin woman to be elected to the US Senate. October 6th, 2014, the United States Supreme Court denies review in 5 different marriage cases, allowing lower court rulings to stand, and therefore allowing same-sex couples to marry in Utah, Oklahoma, Virginia, Indiana, and Wisconsin. The decision opens the door for the right to marry in Colorado, Kansas, North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia, and Wyoming. June the 9th, 2015. Secretary of Defense Ash Carter announces that the military equal opportunity policy has been adjusted to include gay and lesbian military members. April 28th, 2015. The US Supreme Court hears oral arguments on the question of the freedom to marry in Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, and Michigan. On June 26th, the Supreme Court rules that states cannot ban same-sex marriage. And let's leave it on June 24th, 2016. Obama announces the designation of the first national monument to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender LGBT rights. The Stonewall National Monument will encompass Christopher Park, the Stonewall Inn, and the surrounding streets and sidewalks that were the sites of the 1969 Stonewall Uprising.